the Democrats' goal
Do the same thing.
would be to do the same thing.
That's true.
Let's be frank.
No, Democrats vote, that's true. But it doesn't become, when you verbalize it, when you put it into the public discourse, that is your goal, then you're saying to me, I'm not going to work with you. I'm just trying to make you look bad whatever chance I get.
But we all know that. I mean, just like, that's kind of the problem, I think, that Occupy Wall Street has had, is that Occupy Wall Street, for example, there was problems with leadership. And who's at the head of this whole Occupy movement? And what we all know, if you're actually been in these community leader situations, which I know many of these people here have, is that you're outwardly saying something, but behind closed doors, you're working it out. And if it doesn't work, you say, all right, well, I'm not going to take this deal. I got to go back and tell my people to continue to act crazy. You know that, right? And so, but behind closed doors, you're working deals. So there is rhetoric for rhetoric's sake. And if you're not working together behind closed doors, there are some that went back to President Obama's comment about the back seat. That kind of got Republicans kind of stirred up, like, whoa, are they going to be working with us, or should we be working with them? And at the end of the day, there are people who don't want their opponent to be successful, and that's just politics. But at the end of the day, if you don't continue to work with your adversary, we all suffer.
But you got to understand that the adversary is not working with you. One of the reasons the public is not going to bring up a jobs bill, and their jobs bill pushed by this administration that are going to die in the committee. And the reason for that is they don't want to make them look good before the election. So whatever you say, it's all well and good. Yeah. But the whole notion of the selfishness in politics, we're not looking at the larger good we are for society, but what I can do to make this guy look bad. And that has been from day one. Yep. One of the things that happened with Rush Limbaugh and all these guys, Rush Limbaugh said on his radio, and by the way, the Republicans followed Rush Limbaugh, and the first thing he said was, I want his policies to fail.
He wants his president to fail.
And
that was something that I
mentioned. He said, I want him to fail. And then when people said, wait, what do you mean? No, I don't mean him. I mean his policies. You see, but he's like Limbaugh's like the guru for Republicans. Yeah, right. And they are lockstep behind him. So when he says that, all these guys like the Boehner Group and all those other folks, they fall right in line behind him.
Listen, whether he said it or not,
No, but I think one of the bigger things too is like, I work for the Department of Interior and I work in the Public Affairs Office. You also have to look at this. There's some things you can think, but there's certain things you just can't say. By saying that, you're basically saying that even if Obama's plan for whatever issue is a good plan and it's good for the people, I don't care. You have to look at how that translates to the people that you want to vote for your next guy who's going to be running for the presidency. Romney ain't going to win if people from his camp, even if he's not connected to him, but they're connected through party, are outwardly saying that we want him to fail. Because now that shadow is going to be casted onto Romney. And then basically to think that from all these town hall meetings that President Obama has, when he's in that camera, he's saying a little, hey, within his speech, I want to work with the Republicans. I want to do this. I want to get this passed. I want to get this bill passed. But Congress has to do this. He's basically saying like, hey, I'm willing to put all of this stuff on the table. But y'all have to agree to it. I'm willing to do what's right for the people, but y'all have to agree to it. Now, if the House is mainly Republican, and the Republicans come out and say, we don't care what you got, we ain't looking at it, the people going to look back and say, well, hold up, because y'all disagreeing with stuff that could affect us in a positive way. So how are we going to support any person that comes out of y'all particular camp? From a public affairs standpoint, that is terrible.
Yeah, no, I think that that's why I mentioned it in my earlier comments is I know this guy in the house next to me wants to kill me. What are my choices? Do I build a wall, or do I go over there with a cup of tea and pie? And at the end of the day, we have not just black people who helped President Obama get in office, but Wall Street. If you look at the donations that he got from Wall Street, And people will say, well, Wall Street's always Republican. No, they're not. He got a significant amount of money from Wall Street because they want to make sure they pick the winning horse. And so whether it's a Republican or whether it's a Democrat, they want to make sure they've got the winning horse. So let me finish this off real quick. So they have access. And at the end of the day, you have seen through this particular presidency what some have called an attack on the rich, if you will. It's like an attack on the rich. Okay. An attack on the 1%, if you will. And some of those 1% actually voted for Obama and donated money. And I think that brings us back to May 2012, where we're seeing Romney with 76 million versus Obama's 60 million. Which takes us back to June 2012, where Romney they've said they've gotten 100 million. And so, at the end of the day, you've got to work with all sides in a way where they feel as if you're being worked with. And I think that's somewhat part of the problem, too, was, we're not going to pass the Bush tax cuts or what have you, or wealthy people are the reason why this economy is down. And, there are wealthy people who are employing the people. I mean, I'm a small businessman. There are people who aren't millionaires. They make over $250,000, but they're not millionaires, and they're actually employing people, and they don't know what their tax bill is going to be. They're not investing, and they're not hiring people. And the worst thing you can have happen is not just a Rush Limbaugh actually say, I want this president to fail, because just like I said with Tavis and Dr. Cornell, he's paid forever. That's his job, is to be Rush Limbaugh. But the worst thing you can have is owners of capital deciding to withdraw from investment. And that's what we've seen. We have actually seen people who could employ people not do it. Where the stock market could be at 16,000 if people with money decided to shell it out. They're not, and they're putting money in Romney's hands right now, which I am just calling the alarm. I'm not saying Obama's going to lose. I'm just saying these are trends that we should be looking at.
And another thing, with this election, we've got to look at the world economy and how that affects this economy. And, you see what's going on in Europe, especially Greece and other countries. So over there, and they're talking about how the world economy, if something just happens over there, if they go under, America you'll see the, repercussions of it, and Obama. And so the idea is, let's say something happens in the next 2 months, we will feel the effect, and Obama will feel the effect. I was watching the presidential discussion on Charlie Rose show, and they were talking about, the economy. They said if the economy gets better, Obama is in. But if it's failing, it stays the same, Obama is out. And these are people that study the presidencies, and they study how things are. For the past 40, 50 years, they write about presidency. And that's something, how, the economy right now, and the election is based on the economy, solely on the economy. Now, you're going to have some people, because I talk about the Mormon issue, there are people who may not vote, but there's still, the fact is the larger issue is the economy, and that's a big problem, because there are people that are suffering, and once again, Mr. Congo and the rest of the people are saying it's about the pocket. It's the wallet, and if they're, and also the world economy it fails. You'll see a big problem right here in America, which Obama has no control. And that's what we're seeing again.
I differ from that opinion. I don't think that the economy is going to. I think it's a huge issue. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to diminish it in any way, but I don't think that the economy is going to make or break Obama being reelected. The reason I think that is because we have, as America, I'm talking about, as a nation, the Great Depression, the president at the time, Franklin D. Roosevelt. It took him so long to really get us out of that funk. from 1929 to 1945. From that time period, America went from being depressed greatly to being a superpower. It takes time. That's 16 years. Okay, so within that time, or this particular time, Obama has done so many other things. I went online and I did some research because I knew this was coming up. And I looked up the Washington Monthly, and they looked at the 50 things that Obama has done. You know, and I highlighted a few was passed health care reform, ended the war in Iraq, began drawback from the war in Afghanistan, eliminated Osama bin Laden, and the list just goes on and on and on. The Don't Ask, Don't Tell, passed the mini stimulus. It goes on and on and on. I don't think for 1 second that for any individual going into that ballot, that they're going to forget that, hey, although the economy is not where I would like it to be, there has been a ton of things that have improved within the last 4 years. And I think that we have to believe that the voters are much smarter than we're giving them credit for, because at the end of the day, even Clinton, as much as we've been singing his praise, he didn't do that in 4 years. You understand what I'm saying? It took 16 years, and that was the worst that we ever been in, which was the Great Depression from 1929 to 1945. And then at the end of that, we are a superpower. Now we can compete with Great Britain. You know, so we have to also look at that particular history as well. Come on. We got to know that. Ain't nobody, you know, the Messiah himself ain't going to come up in here and in 4 years get these numbers to drop so low when it comes to unemployment. That's why he's going to work on so many other things. Okay, you know what? I'm going to work on that as hard as I can. But if I should fail in getting this particular number down to what the people would like, let me also do these other things. And these other great things, hold on 1 second, my brother. These other great things are going to be the things that people remember. Like, you know what? Let's say, for instance, with real estate. Obama passed the HAMP program. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the HAMP program, so I'll give you some information about it. The HAMP program, what that basically does is for any family member, regardless of color, any family member that owns a home that's going through some economic hardships, this is the relief. We'll modify your loan and we'll extend your loan period from a 30-year to a 40-year period. We'll take your interest rate down from, I'm not sure what people were locked into, it really depends on it. We'll take it down to as little as 2%. And we'll help you, we'll stop you from going into foreclosure. So with that, people are going to remember, because on my block alone, and I'm a homeowner myself, there was about 12 homes on my block that they lost their homes, neighbors that I would probably never see again. But with this particular reform, do you think that people aren't going to say, you know what, I remember that. And even though I might not have a job, you know, right now, but you know what? I could get in school. I could make myself worth more, because you know what? Now he's opened up those particular gates. So yeah, he might not have really done everything that we would like for him to do, to go ahead and bring that unemployment rate down, but there's so many other things that I believe that the voters are going to remember.
I want to thank you, Dr. Washington, for this moment. I want to take a very brief break from intermission so we, stretch our legs for a moment. We'll come back. 5 minutes.